What's up, guys? Adam back again with RV Returners, joined by Adam Duncan, our extended returner family down in Pocosin. So today we're going to go through some win cards. So what are you hoping to get out of win this set?
Oh man, if you're playing Wind, it's really fun to play and get card advantage through ramping and getting backups down for free, or getting cards out and activations when you shouldn't be getting them. So I'm looking for that. I also personally really like what combo Wind brings to the table. There's just so many different with like Opus 4 was a really heavy Wind combo with Shara and Ritz, and then with the Senna package. And I don't know, a little bit of both would be great. And I don't think I'm going to just be disappointed here. We're going to get some combo stuff that have a lot of different abilities and activations, and see some ramp stuff as well.
All right, yeah. So let's go ahead and take a look at the cards.
Yeah.
One. All right, first up we have Evoker. It's a reprint of Opus 1 card. We kind of went through some more already in our previous videos, so not really much to say there. So we'll kind of move on to the next card.
Well, he gets a little bit of attention later in the set review.
Oh, that is true. That is true, yeah.
I will say that if there is an element you want to have a 1 CP backup in, it's probably Wind, because there's a lot of cards that really want you to have 5 backups as fast as possible, but there's not much else to say about the 1 CP backup.
Yep. So first up is Cid Hayes. He's an EX Burst, 3 CP backup. When he enters the field, you can search for 1 job standard unit and add it to your hand.
I love this card. I think this card was the first one in Wind that it was an early spoil, and it got me really excited because it does what Brawn does in Water, but it's in Wind now, and I'm really curious to see if mono Wind standard units is a deck that can be played. There's so much searching, there's so much card draw, and the fact that he's an EX Burst, I really like this guy.
Yeah, I think it's pretty solid, and it really opens the door for like some Chocobo style decks that you don't have to splash water anymore to get Brawn. You can just play this guy.
Yeah, or you could do both. I mean, I don't know.
Sure.
I'm super familiar with those decks, but the extra option is really great.
Yeah, I mean, if it comes off the top, it's a free search, so can't really be bad. So next up, speaking of not bad, Zidane. He's a 4 CP forward, 7K. Can't be chosen by opponent's abilities. When your opponent discards a card from his or her hand, your summons or ability, due to your summons or abilities, choose 1 win character, activate it. When Zidane attacks, your opponent reveals their hand. You select 1 forward from their hand and discard it.
I mean, it's really like any 2 of these things would be a really great card, but this card is incredible. And I remember, so I heard about the errata on the misprint of the card before I actually saw it, and I'm thinking Opus 1 Legendary Zidane is really, really good. The Opus 3 Zidane that lets you steal a card from your opponent's hand is really, really good. And then the Light Zidane, I'm like, what room do we have for another Zidane that's going to be really good? And then they print this guy, and he's just so strong. The evasion is relevant. The discard line is not exclusive to Zidane, so you could get several activations off that. So really kind of has a logical home in a Wind Ice, or even just there's a lot of discard effects in Wind now too. And then he doesn't even have to do damage, and your opponent, first of all, you get to see their entire hand, and then you choose a forward from it. I mean, there's nothing. He's slightly underpowered. That's the only bad thing I can think to say of this card.
Yeah, I think he's pretty gross. I think he's going to be one of the Chates legendaries that people are going to be looking for, like really early to build around.
I agree.
There's not much more to say that you haven't already said. He's just a really gross card, and I think he's going to see a ton of play.
I've played a lot of mono Wind, and my biggest frustration is there's a lack of removal in the color, and Chaos Walker the Wheel is really good. It can be really, really great with other colors, but if you're trying to run mono Wind, it's not that great. But when you get to look at your opponent's hand, somewhat somewhat often with a card like Zidane, Chaos Walker the Wheel becomes a card with almost no downside, and you can attack with them, see their hand. If they don't have any forwards, or if they only have 1, you get rid of it. And then before, you can hold priority and Chaos Walker the Wheel and get something out for a lot of value. I just love the card. I'm really looking forward to playing with it.
Oh yeah, yeah, he's gonna be real good. So next up, we have another. Actually, this card is really interesting too. Cid, Final Fantasy 2, and this is what you were alluding to earlier.
Oh yeah.
He's a 4 CP backup. His ability is just tap, search for a backup that costs 1, and add it to your hand.
And he's, you could also read that ability as he's a backup that dulls for 2 CP, because you can go and get that backup of cost 1, and you can pitch it, or he can fix your colors if you want to run multiple colors. You want to run 2. There's so many games where if you wish you just had that one card. I mean, a 1 CP backup, sometimes the best thing it does is it pitches for 2 CP, and I love this guy. I do a lot of math in my head when I'm trying to like deck build and brew, and I'm thinking about the card like this. Turn 1, he's 4 CP. Turn 2, he goes and generates a card for you. Turn 3, he's potentially generated 2 cards and made himself a free backup. And I mean, I just definitely going to run 3 of in several brews and see how good he is.
Yeah, I know. Like my first idea with him is to run like a backup light deck where you run very few backups and you run 3 of this guy, and then like maybe it's a dual color deck and you run like 3 of each of the 1 CP backups with a few other backups that work well, and you just kind of get them out of your deck early, play them, and you're able to play like a really aggro deck with a ton of forwards with like a light backup count and still have backups.
Oh yeah, definitely. And yeah, if you're getting 3 backups down and then the rest of the game you're just drawing forwards or drawing cards, that you can play right away, that's a good position to be in. I just think he's one of those cards. He's a hero, right?
I think he is a hero.
Yeah. He's one, like, Gadot comes to mind, that kind of, look at it at first, it's kind of simple, but he could be one of the most powerful cards in Wind, maybe even in the set.
Yep, I really like his design. Sure. So next card we have is the 2 CP White Mage backup. When it enters the field, choose a card in your opponent's break zone, remove from the game. And then for 1 break, choose a card in your opponent's break zone, remove from the game.
Yeah, I personally think any 2 CP backup is playable, and that's a pretty relevant ability when you think there's a lot of card recursion. Minor and Earth X decks are being played a lot, at least in my local scene, and kind of getting rid of a card that you don't want your opponent to recur there's not anything wrong with that. And the fact that you could activate that ability on the stack when you know what they're going to try and find out of their break zone, or they're looking for something and you don't want them to take a particular card out of the break zone, I think it's pretty good. It's not one I'm most excited about, but 2 CP backups, they're always playable.
Yep. Yeah, I like this card a lot for the reasons that you said. There's a lot of cards that recur currently, and this kind of like stops them cold. You get to recur something on ETB, and then, like you said, you wait till they target something, and then you're just like, nah, sorry.
Yeah.
So I like it a lot. So next up, we got Shinra. It's a 4 CP backup with EX Burst. When it enters the field, search for a Gull Wing forward and add it to your hand.
What's funny is we saw a couple of the Gull Wings or the Category X cards early in the spoiler season, and now I think they might be the least powerful package coming out of Wind. With that being said, this is an excellent card, and if you're trying to run Gull Wings, it's obviously a card you want to run.
Yeah, my only issue with it is Brother exists, and it's kind of more like can search more things out than this. But this is an EX Burst, so
I think the EX puts it over. It puts it in the it makes me consider it.
Yeah, for sure. I think the EX Burst is what keeps it kind of relevant. So next up, we got Zoo. It's a 4 CP monster. For 0 until end of turn, becomes a forward with 7k, and when it attacks, you choose a backup you control and activate it.
Yeah, we're both monster guys. I love a monster that can animate. I like a free animation cost too. I'm a little. I don't know how I feel about this card because 4 seems like a lot of CP. You do get the activation when you attack with it. So he is long run, pretty resource friendly, not in a monster specific deck. I don't really see this there, but I've also kind of got my own little theory I'm working out that maybe every deck should have some monsters that animate and just give you a little bit more resilience. But I'm not sure if this is one you run. I don't know how to feel about it yet.
Yeah, 4 CP is a little high. The 0 cost animation, which is a theme of the set, it seems, is pretty cool. Um, but I feel like if you really activating your backups is what you want to do when things are attacking, you can play no unless some build becomes prevalent where like you're playing this and no and when you're swinging you're like
Right.
already two things, which
Right.
Win doesn't hate. No, Win loves that.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, it's got I'm kind of just medium on it right now. There's
yeah,
good reasons, but there's it's not jumping out to me.
yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it's like on the fringe playable too, and it does something nice. But I think it might be too. It might cost too much. That's my worry.
I agree. Yeah.
So next up we got Chocobo. It's a 3 CP forward, 3K. When it enters the field, you may play one card named Chocobo from your hand onto the field.
Yeah, this is kind of great. It might not be as good as it looks because you just getting a card named Chocobo. There's some good ones. There's definitely the Haste Chocobo that can come down. You could play this card with it. So there's a wonderful situation where you have three of these in your hand, and then you just have three forwards on the field for 3 CP. But I'm not sure. It kind of sometimes cards look too good, and this isn't a very powerful forward. It's at 3,000 CP, but then again, Chocobos as a tribe kind of buff each other, help each other out. I'm definitely going to try and run a deck with this card, but I'm open to the idea that it might not be that great.
Yeah, I'm kind of like on the lower end of this card right now. It does do something that's nice, so I don't think it's like terrible or anything. But I do think its power might hold it back slightly. However, if you can get like a crazy turn like Chocobo Knight, tap, play this guy, then play another thing, and then kind of chain all these things together. My only thing is like, how are you drawing all these cards to be able to do that?
Right.
So,
You got to build something around to get these cards in your hand, which Cid helps us with the EX Cid Hayes, but it's just one card. So you got to really build a lot of draw into your package, which Wind has some of, but not a ton of.
yep. And I mean, Chocobos are always pretty interesting. Like you said, they always help each other out. So I mean, it might be relevant, but I'm kind of thinking that it won't see too much play. That's my kind of opinion right now.
Yeah.
So next up, we got Choko Mog. It's an EX burst, 1 CP summon with pretty great art, actually. Search for one job Chocobo or job Moogle and add it to your hand.
This is what makes me think that other Chocobo is interesting. Well, first of all, this card's it's costed incredibly. It doesn't have to be Chocobos.
So just to note, you can't search that Chocobo with this because it's job Chocobo, and the other one is standard unit. So,
but it is draw, so it's something that gets you a card that you can play. I think you in my mind, the deck I'm trying to build, the Wind standard units, is running. It's running a full grip of these. It's running a full grip of Cid Hayes. So it's a good card. Well, I mean, how can you argue with a 1 CP EX that draws you a card?
You can't.
Yeah, it's good just because of that. Maybe it's better in a Moogle deck.
Yeah, I think it is better in a Moogle deck just because there's more targets.
Definitely.
Because I think really only your only target for this right now is Fat Chocobo, I believe. I'm trying to remember other job Chocobos.
Oh, I can't off the top of my head.
Yeah, because I think most of them are standard units.
Yeah.
So
well, getting a Fat Chocobo is never a bad thing.
No, searching a backup is almost never a bad thing, especially that backup where you're gonna chain it into another Chocobo and do lots of cool stuff. So
yeah.
it might see play, especially if like Chocobos or Moogles are good. Sure.
Yeah, the Moogle build seems to be Ice Earth, and I don't know if you'd find Wind in there, but there are definitely some good Wind Moogles.
Yep. So next up is the Diablos 3 CP summon, so the new one. Choose a forward, its power becomes 4,000 until end of turn, draw a card.
I would love it if it was an EX burst. I would love this card. I kind of like it just because it nets you a card, so it's kind of like a 1 CP, and it's a good combat trick, but I don't love it.
Yeah, I'm kind of like mediocre on it as well too. I'm gonna try it because I think it works pretty well with Dottaluma. You have like Dottaluma Cactuar, now something's dead and you get to draw a card, so I can't imagine that would feel bad. But whether or not it's worth a card slot, I'm not sure. But I'm definitely gonna try it out, and I do think that combo alone might warrant it to be okay.
Definitely.
So next up, we got first of the Gold Wings. We got Pain. She's a 4 CP forward. Job Gold Ring forward you control cannot be chosen by your opponent's summons. Then she has an S for S and Wind. All Gold Wings you control gain haste until end of turn.
This card to me seems like a title card. It doesn't seem like a constructed card, but I could be very wrong on that. I think the 3 CP starter pain is always going to be hard to find a better card, but the evasion and the haste are both really good. And I don't know. I just kind of feel like you have to have. Some cards are really good with one other card, and then this card seems like it needs at least 2 other cards to be really good, and it probably doesn't. It doesn't seem like something I'll play. But in a title deck, it probably might be like might really put that title over.
Yeah, I think all the gold wings in title are going to be pretty good. And I think 3 CP pain is still better than this pain, just because 3 CP pain is sometimes just free, which is pretty awesome. However, giving a bunch of stuff haste is always good, and it is pretty cheap. So, but I just don't think there's enough gold wings right now. And when you're playing these other forward gold wings, it limits you from playing the previous gold wings because they all have the same name. It's kind of rough.
Yeah, I mean, best case scenario, you're giving probably two forwards haste.
Yep.
That's not a really inspiring special, but I don't know. Maybe it is. Prove me wrong.
Yeah, for sure. So next up, we got 3 CP backup Fujin, EX Burst. When it enters the field, you may search for a card named Cipher, add it to your hand, and cards named Cipher you control gain first strike during your turn.
I'm not familiar enough with the Cipher cards. I know we just got a new one, but I haven't looked at it closely enough to know how good this card is. EX Burst and a tutor, because it searches for Cipher, right?
Yep.
That's not bad. So if you're wanting to make a Cipher deck, I think this makes a lot of sense. You're going to be in Lightning Wind then, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's the only Ciphers right now exist in Lightning.
I think, so looking through this set in Wind, I really feel that any archetype that was including Wind found something good. Like, there's so many good Wind cards in this set. So Lightning Wind is one of them, especially, I think, has a lot of new utility. And if that includes Cipher in your build, then this will see some play.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited about this package, and we'll get to the Cipher and the other review. I don't want to really talk about it too much right now, but I think this package is actually going to be pretty strong. I'm looking to make a Lightning Wind deck with the package in there, the 3 cards, just to see if it's as strong as I think it is. But this is an EX Burst. It searches for a card, and it gives a pretty strong card, in my opinion, first strike. So we'll see where it goes, but I think it's going to be really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually pretty undercosted as far as backups go. So 3 CP is usually what we're getting to tutor something. Not with an EX Burst. This one has one. And it's giving it's getting its tutor target an additional line of text, which is a good additional ability. First Strike is not super common in this game, and it's really powerful when you have it. So, it's probably really good. I probably should have thought it out a little bit further before I said anything. All of it. That's a lot of ability tacked onto a 3 CP backup.
Yep. So the next backup we got is Geomancer. It's 2 CP standard unit backup. Tap, break, choose an attacking forward, deal 4,000 damage.
Yeah, and that's good in that white same package, Wind Lightning, especially even more so with a card that has First Strike.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you have First Strike, it's gonna be really good. You could even double down with Dodaluma with this too. You could like break this to damage your own Dodaluma and then Cactuar and do 8K to something.
You could. I'm wondering if Tactics Advance 2 as a title didn't just, it might be the biggest winner here. Because Luso, that's a card that has First Strike and didn't really see any player get a lot of attention, but now it's got a really powerful Tactics 2 cards, and he's got First Strike, and he goes well with this and many other backups that do a little ping damage and put him over in combat.
Yeah, that title deck's going to be pretty strong, I think, going forward, for sure. Next card we got, okay, I think this guy's insane, but I'll let you talk about him first. So 2 CP forward, his name's Paul. He's a 4K. Can't be blocked by forwards cost 3 or more, so that sounds familiar. Kobold Droid Yen. When Paul deals damage to your opponent puts the top 5 cards of their deck in the break zone.
Yeah, I like this card just because he's got good evasion. That's better evasion than Legendary Zidane, which I think is a really good card, and the Opus 1 Legendary Zidane. And, it doesn't see a ton of play. It's kind of a pet card of mine. but a lot of forwards cost 3 or less. You may not want to be blocking this guy. He's not super powerful, but man, you're gonna want to block him. He's not gonna. He's Mill is an interesting kind of mechanic in this game. It's a lot of decks can stall someone out, and then if you have a Riku backup, you can mill them down a lot. But he might put Mill over because that's 10% of your deck. It's more than 10% after you had a couple turns. So like that's kind of that kind of hurts more than the technically. If you think about it, if he's getting in on damage, he's taking 6 cards away from your opponent's deck.
Yep.
So he's putting some work in, and he's a 2 CP forward.
Yep. So
you've got Spicy Cylind to kind of make him even worse in the right build. We can't forget Zima's backup is a card that exists. Yeah, he's troublesome.
Yeah, I think if you let this guy get in for 2 points of damage, it's gonna suck for you, like really bad. That's 12 cards coming off the top of your deck, 2 in damage and going to the break zone. That's a lot of cards. So
definitely. And you can think too. Fire Wind is really high on my list of things to try, and this guy with Gadot is now he's kind of a bigger problem because he's got some power behind him too. So and potentially haste. I think it's a card that might create a new archetype.
Yeah, I was talking about this earlier actually with Chris. So like you play this guy turn 1 with the Sage backup, and you're just like, all right, mill 6 cards, have fun.
Yeah, that's dirty. Yeah, I want to do it.
So next card we got is a legendary, the second legendary, Maria. She's a 2 CP forward. She got a lot of text. So she has tap, choose on category 2 forward other than Maria, gains plus 2,000 power. Tap, deal 1,000 damage to all forwards opponent controls. 1 win tap, choose a forward. During this turn, the next damage dealt to it is reduced by 3,000, and she's a 5k power.
Yeah, and all of those abilities are pretty good. So I think she earns her legendary rank here. She's a good early play too. And this was one of the first spoils we saw all season. And everybody thought, what category 2 forwards are we going to see that make her good? I think we've seen enough that this card is going to see some play. Dealing 1,000 to all forward opponent controls, that's good. Choose a forward, reduce the damage dealt to it, kind of makes her a little bit better of a blocker. She can kind of block up to a 7k or trade with sorry, my math gets a little fuzzy on that one. So 7k, she's safely blocking there. She kind of makes Paul better. We just talked about it. I like the card. I know some people were a little underwhelmed. And again, this is a card that if you play it, you might want to pack an answer to the Emperor because otherwise it's really bad. But 3 relevant abilities. I think she's good.
Yeah, I think she's going to be pretty strong. I think she's going to see a pretty decent amount of play. I think the last ability is kind of what puts her over the top, in my opinion.
Me too.
It gives her a lot of survivability as well as some other forwards.
Yeah, definitely. You can have if you use that, if you include that ability in every other forward in the game, and it's really, really good. But it's kind of good on her too.
Yep. So next card we got is the 2 CP Mog 11. It's a 2 CP win backup with an S tap. Search your deck for a card and add it to your hand.
Come on, that's inspiring. I love that card. I'm blown away by it because it's a turn 1 play, and then you're gonna always want to see. You're gonna be extremely happy to see that card at any point in the game from that point on. Like I said earlier, 2 CP backups just always playable. Pretty sure the rulings here do require you to reveal the card you search, which doesn't make this card any worse. I just think it's worth noting because it's a little ambiguous. In other card games, you don't have to reveal unless it specifies a type of card. But I think in this game, anytime you search, you have to reveal it. Doesn't matter. You're getting to tutor for whatever you want in your deck. For really, you're just swapping a card out and functionally paying 1 CP to do it. That's extremely strong. I really, really like this card. And I'm definitely, any win deck I'm running is probably running 3 of these.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty interesting because you can search for any card you want for an S. You do have to run like multiple copies of this card. So yeah, you're probably running like 3 or so. So you're going to have to find room for 3 in your deck in order to do that. But if you get it off, it's going to feel really great.
Yeah, Agreed.
So next up, we actually got a pretty familiar card, Wingverd. It's a 2 CP wind monster for 1 wind, 1 colorless, break. Choose a forward, cost of power 9k or more, and break it.
We spent a lot of time talking and thinking about this card already, so we might not want to go too far into it. Got a video and an article up on it, but I like it. I look forward to it, and I'm definitely trying to pull a foil in my pre-release.
Yeah, it was cool that we got to spoil it. I won't spend too much time on it either. I think it's just kind of a better Alexander. You just lose the EX burst. That's really all I'll say about it. So let's go ahead and move on to the next card, which I think is really interesting, is Lezaford, another Texas Advance 2 guy. He's a 7 CP backup. Pretty expensive. When he enters the field, though, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck. Play 1 win character of cost 5 or less among them onto the field and return the other cards to the bottom of your deck in any order. And then for 1 win, tap, break, choose a forward. During this turn, the next damage dealt to it is 0.
So can I take you through my fantastical, perfect line of play that this set has opened up for us now?
Go ahead.
So turn 1, let's say you're on the play. You draw your card. You got 6 cards. So you pitch 2 of them. You play Cid category 2. Next turn, turn 2, you draw a 1 CP win backup, and you play it using your 1 backup. Now you have 2 backups out, and you have 5 cards in hand. Turn 3, you draw 2. You have 7 in hand. You activate Cid's ability. You go get a 1 CP backup. You play it with your other backup. You have 7 cards in hand. You could play something else, or you could pitch 3 of them, play Lezaford. He's going to be your 4th backup. So now you have, or you're pitching 4 to play him. So now you have 2 cards in hand, but you have 4 backups, and he's going to reveal a top 5 card to your deck. You put a win character of cost 5 or less. Could be your 5th backup, or it could be a Bartz, or a Connie Senna, or, I mean, there's so many cost 5 or less in wind. There's a lot of good for CP and wind. That's probably a line of play that I won't ever experience, but the fact that you can do that, wind was already good at ramping, and it's great that it's getting better. 7 is an awkward number, but I think you always want to play this guy as your 4th backup, and you're going to feel really good about him. And I think he's a 1 or a 2 of, probably a 1 of, maybe 2. His second ability is not bad either. You could potentially save something. And honestly, at one point when people were playing Fire, especially in Opus 2, it seemed like Fire was the best deck, and Wind did not have a lot of answers to it. So being able to take something and reduce its damage to 0 is I'm not going to sleep on that either. I like this card. I think it's appropriately costed, and I think it's good, and you're going to get what you want out of it for paying the 7 CP.
Yeah, I'm interested in this card a lot. I mean, and it is 5 or less, so you're probably going to always hit with it. It's probably rarely going to whiff.
Right.
Which is nice. And yeah, if you hit that Bartz, or if you have Connie Senna's backups out and you hit that Connie Senna and you get to play something else, it's going to be pretty insane. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see what people do with this card. I'm really interested in it. Next up, we got Raptor. It's a 3 CP forward, standard unit, 6k. If you control another Texas Advance 2 forward other than Raptor, it gets plus 2,000 power.
Good title card, and I think that category has enough support now to make a deck.
Yeah, I don't want to beat a dead horse. I've said this a few times. I think I don't know if I'd play in a constructed deck that's not title. I don't know if I'd play a 3CP 8K that doesn't have any text, and that's the best thing that this is. So I don't think it's going to see a lot of play in standard, but however in title it's probably going to be pretty good just because target for Luso and going to be an 8K for 3 in title, and there's less removal typically in title. I
love the art style that Tactics 2 is getting, so that'll probably be the title deck I built, but I need to go. It's not a cheap game, and I don't even think I have a Game Boy Advance, so I got to find a way to play it. I'll probably emulate it or something.
You could borrow my copy if you have a...
Sweet. Yes. I'll have to figure it out.
So next up we got Riku, which is the second Wind Gold Wing. She's a 3CP, 7k. Job for Gold Wing forwards you control cannot be targeted by abilities, so now with Pain, you're basically hexproof. Or you are. And then her S is really interesting, so it's Escape. It's just an S. Remove her from battle, and you can only use this ability if she's in battle.
Yeah, I like the ability because I think people are going to play around it because it's just so unique and interesting, even though you probably won't get it off. And if you do, it's only going to be once. I kind of like the cards because they really break up the Gull Wings package and the Category 10 package. but I'm still, it might just be lack of experience. I'm still really a fan of the 2 CP Riku backup and the starter Pain and the Uno of choice at that point. But even if you're not running water, that 2 CP Riku and then Pain's almost guaranteed to be free if you find it. So I don't know. I don't know if they've given me enough to want to play. The evasion's really good though.
Yeah, I agree with that. So last up we got Leon. He's a 1 CP 8K forward. When he enters the field, your opponent gains control of him, and then when you play a Category 2, or when a Category 2 character is played, on your opponent's field, they gain control of Leon. So he could kind of bounce back and forth.
So again, Firewind aggro is a deck I'm looking to play. I'm paying especially close attention to low CP cost forwards because I want to really feature Gatto. So kind of thought this card was okay if we got enough Category 2, and I think we've got enough Category 2. So it's a weird card. It'd be really, really weird to play with someone who's also playing Category 2 cards. And there's a lot of them. Maria backup from Opus 1 is a card that a lot of people play. So I don't know exactly how I feel because it's so unique. I don't think I have anything to compare it against, but it probably feels okay to get it back after you've played it, maybe even the same turn. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm just worried if the 2 is too good and a lot of people are playing it, this guy's just not going to be as good. So, yeah, I think he's decent. It just really depends on the meta for sure.
So if I control Leon and you play a Leon, is that an illegal play?
I think they just don't switch sides. I think they both stay on the same side.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah, I mean, so that's...
Yeah, I think it's just because it would create an illegal board state that they both just kind of stay where they are. That's my guess.
So the play is legal because the play happens, but the effects go on the stack, and the effects wouldn't happen because they would have created a illegal board state.
Yeah, I think that's how that works.
I could buy that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. That's so that's all the win cards. I think win's shaping up pretty well. I'm interested to see mono win, what mono win comes out of this, and I'm interested to build some win lightning decks to see if I can kind of take that over the top. All right. Yeah. So with that, we'll go ahead and sign off. Talk to you guys later. See ya.
See ya.